Well done. That was a great ride. No, it wasn't. I was stuck in traffic the whole time.
My wristwatch is broken, my shoes are untied. Time is a-ticking, and so is the tide. But I am not worried, things are what they are. Come rain or come shine or a shooting
Just finished
star.
up lunch, heading back to work. I wasn't gonna vlog today, but I stopped at this Wawa here, but I ran into a guy here that kind of inspired a couple topics. But first of all, I got out of the tree, I saw him, or he saw me. I didn't recognize him, and he pointed at me, came over and said, "Oh, look at you, you're all skinny." I don't think I'm skinny, but here's a guy that when I first met him 2 years ago, he had just lost like 90 pounds, and he was on a paleo diet. Now he's pretty big. I saw him right now, and that's the point I was at a couple years ago. I was in the Marines when I was younger. You know, as a Marine, you're pretty much in shape because you have to be the whole time. I got out of the Marines. I gained about 20 pounds, 25 pounds after the Marines. I think that's probably pretty normal as well. And I kept that same weight for a long time, and I started brewing beer back in 2009 in the springtime. And my weight shot up like really fast in a short period of time. And I kept that weight on. I mean, we're talking, I went from, when I was in the Marines, my weight was, 185-ish. 180, if I was like really into being fit. When I started brewing beer, my weight went up to 280 pounds, 270 pounds, something like that, and I kept it there. Yeah, and I stopped because I was brewing and kept drinking it because it's good, right? Beer's good. I stopped drinking beer heavily back in 2011, 2012, but I never did get that weight off because I still had the same eating habits. And it wasn't until January of 2016, so almost 2 years ago, my kids and I, or my family and I, went to Busch Gardens, which is an amusement park here in Tampa, and I either had to use the fat seats, you know what I'm talking about, where you pull down the bar and you got 2 seat belts that come up because they have to stretch out more, or in a couple instances, I just couldn't ride at all because pulling the bar down, I'd have to have, the attendants, whatever they're called, they would have to come help push it down to get to. I was embarrassed, and so the last half of that day, I decided I wasn't going to ride anything because I didn't want to go through the embarrassment of having attendees come help me put the bar down, and yeah, it was sad. So the very next day, January 25th, 26th, I should look it up, but I started on a keto diet, and I know fad diets are something that people might have some exception with because it's a fad diet, whatever. And I'm going to agree with that and disagree with that to an extent. I've done low carb dieting in the past to lose 20 pounds here and there, 30 pounds here and there, but what happened is, and I think this is the case with most diets, you get to the end of that diet and you just you're like, okay, I lost all the weight, and you start eating the same old bullshit that you ate before. So what do you think is going to happen when you stop the diet and go right back? You shoot back up. So last year I did this, and by I started at 270 pounds. I'm 5'11". By November, this time last year, I hit 180 pounds, which was my goal. So 90 pounds. Now, throughout the month of November, just from momentum or whatever, I actually got down to 176, and I maintained 176 for several months. And then now I'm back to 182, 183. But 180 is my target weight for me personally. That's where I feel good at. But I refuse to be that fat again. And seeing people who have been on a diet and lost it and getting big again kind of makes me feel good about my decision. It's like I know mentally what he's going through right now. I mean, I've been there. It's like he knows. He was so proud once of having lost all that weight. He knows he's gained that weight back, and I know that feels bad. So I don't want to be put in that situation again. I'm not going to do it to myself.
So when I approached the diet in January, I'll reference back to, you know, we went to Busch Gardens. The next day I went on the diet, but you know, and I kind of thought to myself then, and I found myself even today saying, you know, this time, you know, we're gonna do this diet this time. You know, I've got a big mountain to climb. But there's always this worry in the back of my head that you know, I'm going to lose this weight, but then I'm going to be fat again, because that's history has told me that I always lose weight and I always get fat again, always. And I apologize if the word fat offends you. Actually, I don't apologize, but if it offends you, rethink that for a minute. It's a harsh word, fat. Nobody likes to be called fat. Fat people like to say I'm heavy, I'm big, whatever. It's hard to hear or to call yourself fat, and that's exactly what I was. And I think using a word like that is some way for me to internalize. It's an ugly word, and I didn't like my picture taken. Now don't get me wrong, while I won't be apologetic for using the word fat, what I don't want to say is that it's gross for other people. It was gross for me. That's what I'm trying to get across here. If you're a larger person, a heavier person, and you're proud of that, and there's nothing, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm not going to change a single thing about me because I like me for who I am, you know, and or my significant other likes me for who I am, or whatever it is, then by all means, you do you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to be like the guy who I saw at lunch, who made fun of me behind my back, and then lo and behold, he's large and in charge now. I'm not that kind of guy. So I was just worried that, okay, you know, I'm going to lose this weight. I was determined. But after a couple weeks of doing this diet, and I saw, hey, this is really working again, I was kind of skeptical, because the last time I did it was 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. And obviously I'm 11 years older now than it was. I didn't know how my metabolism was going to react to doing that kind of, you know, diet change. But I bought a watch. A Garmin, not a Fitbit, and the reason why I bought a Garmin is because it had a much higher water resistance rating than the Fitbit did, and because at the time I was really heavy into kayaking. I still like to kayak, I still like to fish, but not as much as I was back then. Because I was so heavy into kayaking, I was worried that, you know, spending $150, $200 on a Fitbit was going to go to waste if I didn't have the water resistance that I needed. So I went with the Garmin. But that also prompted me to download a couple of fitness apps. Now, one of them was like the Under Armour, MyFitnessPal. And inside of that, I was paying for the subscription for a little while because it gave me macros. It told me what I was eating. And this time when I approached the diet, instead of saying I'm just going to go low carb, high fat, and I want to address that for a second. It's not high any fat, and just eat as much fat as you want. There's a percentage. There are different percentages you want to look at. I'm going to let you look at those on your own, because, like I said, I don't want to fit you into a box. Anyway, so then I started watching. So instead of just doing low carb, you know, not being able to wait until I get off the diet so I could eat normal again. Obviously, normal didn't work. I started watching calories as well. I started watching my activity levels. It's the first time dieting as an adult that I watched all these things: carbs, calories in general, activity levels. I was monitoring steps, which I know is kind of a fad, but you know, I was seeing how many miles I was walking a day, because I don't really do a whole lot of exercise. Just whatever I get on my kayak, or you know, when I was really heavy into the lost mode before I got into other hobbies, you know, I would take my bicycle out in the evenings and go for just a little 3-4 mile ride, and nothing like Olympic bicyclist or anything like that.
I was born at morning on the first day of June, 1900 and something and two. My mom was a sweetheart, my father was too. They left me a watch and an old pair of shoes. I guess I've been lucky to some degree, for someone who ate all the fruit from the tree. Stars been aligned and my goose hanging high. I'll be okay in the sweet by be okay in the sweet by and by.